hope you like my new transporter effect. I made it just for for reviewing Star Trek Discovery, and in this episode I'm going to review Star Trek Discovery Season 1. And if you're wondering about the tunic, is it from Star Trek? Is it from the Orville? It's from Kohl's. So it's neither of those things. It was on the discount rack, so I was really happy. I chose the blue, which is in the Orville command rank, and in Star Trek it's a medical and science officer. But I thought it looked kind of cool. First of all, I want to say that I'm a Trekkie, not a Trekker, and this is the difference, okay? A Trekkie is a fan of Star Trek. I was a fan of the original series, starting with the original series. I think the first episode that got me hooked was Devil in the Dark in the original series. I've been watching ever since. I think a Trekker, for them, Star Trek is the gospel, according to Gene Roddenberry, and they take it a lot more seriously than I do. Having said that, again, I was super surprised at the negative fan reaction, the massive negative fan reaction that Star Trek Discovery had gotten. And I saw, I waited a while to watch season 1. I finally did, and while I went in with super low expectations, I wasn't too disappointed with it. Some of the things that bothered me included the fact that you had to watch it through their streaming service. This is the first show that wasn't available for free on TV, like all the other previous Star Treks. The other thing that bothered me for this series was that it was set it had to be set just before the original series, because of the whole Axanar fan film. This is this movie quality fan film that was being produced, and they had to set this just before the original series because of this Axanar fan film, and it had to involve Klingons, because the incident is a Klingon incident. So they had to make sure that the fan film was not going to be considered part of the Star Trek canon. So they showed. So the first part of it, a good part of the series, involved Klingons. They're featured more prominently in the first part of the series, and then again with Ash Tyler, who was actually a Klingon agent. So spoilers if you haven't seen it already. You may not want to watch this episode with me. The other thing I think that might have bothered fans was that the Star Trek Gauntlet wasn't properly handed over. Gene Roddenberry is, of course, no longer with us, but the original producers of Next Generation are still around, and they were Rick Berman, Brandon Braga, and Ronald Moore. Rick Berman, I don't know, is no longer active, I think, in show business. Brandon Braga is working on the Orville, and Ronald Moore is working on Outlander. So I don't know if any of them they didn't bother to consult them, or they were not available. Whatever the case is, I think that they should have been involved in a reboot as some type of executive capacity, if not actually producing it. They should have at least been there to hand over the gauntlet to a new producer, and this didn't happen. This is all executive decisions, and I think this might have made a lot of fans upset. So I think I don't think there's a way to make this right without getting involved at least one of those guys, if not all three: Rick Berman, Brendan Braga, and Ronald Moore, if possible. And I know there's some friction between Ronald Moore and Brendan Braga. I'm not sure what the case is with Rick Berman. I don't know if he no longer has the capacity to produce TV. I don't know what his situation is, but I don't think he's been too active. The other thing that bothered me, and I'm not sure if it bothered other fans, was that the recasting of in this first season, it was minor characters, relatively minor characters, or recurring characters, Sarek and Harry Mudd, which after seeing Rogue One, how they resurrected Peter Cushing after being dead for 20 plus years, I thought that was quite amazing, and I thought it would have been great if they could have done something similar for Star Trek. They probably don't have the same kind of budget as a feature film like Star Wars, or this was Star Wars Rogue One, but I think it would have been, for me, a lot, either not to bring back these characters, or for me it would have been better if they didn't bring back these characters, or they brought back, they did something with CGI so that they would look more like the original actors, and this had voice actors to sound like them. Overall, I watched the whole season. It was I thought they pulled out a lot of stops, or they did a lot of things to keep it interesting. The Klingon story arc with Ash Tyler secretly being a Klingon, the Mirror Universe story arc, or the Tardigrade story arc, and the Mirror Universe story arc, or story elements. I don't know if they're really arcs at this point, but were all things that kept it interesting. I was surprised. I didn't really care for the Philip Georgiou, the original captain from our universe, but Empress Georgiou was pretty entertaining. And the Tardigrade story was kind of interesting. I'm sorry that they had supposedly lifted it from a plot of a video game. The other thing I thought was weird about this show was they had a lot of side characters on the bridge that we didn't get to know very well. One that interests me was there's Lieutenant Commander Ariam, who it looks kind of like Mega Man from Nintendo, but she's some type of, and we don't know if she's an augmented human or an alien or whatever she is. She's kind of interesting looking, but she just kind of stood in the background and we didn't get to know them. And one thing I liked about Star Trek was the reoccurring people you saw on the bridge in Star Trek. You always got to, they always were characters developed at some point in the season. You'd get a story that had involved them in some way, so at least you knew everybody's name, and you got to know these characters. This was kind of disappointing that there were a lot of these side characters that were just kind of in the background, and they didn't develop them at all. So overall, I can see some areas where I think fans are upset with just the way, and again, the very dark, the dark lighting and the darker vision of the future. And I think they're lighting it up for season 2, but overall, I didn't think it was really that bad, and hopefully things will continue to improve in season 2. That's all for this time. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.